Welcome on board, Chosen One. Since you clearly walked in without asking for permission, let's start with a reality check that your enemies still pretend they don't see. When they said you were doing too much, look who's doing all the staring now. When they swore you were nothing special. Funny how the same people freeze like statues the second you show up. When they whispered that you were overrated, their voices cracked, because deep down they knew the truth. You were the threat they hoped would never evolve. And here you are, glowing like a celebrity and moving like someone the universe personally sharpened. They wanted you soft. You came out sharpened. They wanted you quiet. You came out unforgettable. They wanted you harmless. You came out radioactive. Your whole existence annoys them in ways they can't even put into words. You look better than the celebs they worship, and it makes them furious because your face alone pulls attention they spent their whole lives begging for. But it's not even your looks that break them, it's your aura. That silent message that says, "Don't mess with me." They don't know how you do it, how you walk past them like you already read their mind, already identified their weakness, already knew the exact fear sitting in their chest. They hate that they can't decode you. They hate that you don't shrink. They hate that your confidence exposes every insecurity they've been trying to hide. Press like and subscribe if you feel this message burning through the lies they told about you. Thanks for being part of this mission, Chosen One. You keep this voice alive, and this voice keeps telling the truth the world tries to bury. Now let's sharpen the blade even more. You ever notice the silence that hits right after you walk into a room? That tight, awkward pause where everyone suddenly pretends to check their phone, or fix their hair, or adjust their jacket. That's not coincidence. That's impact. That's the universe telling you, see? They feel you before they see you. You could walk into a crowded space and the air shifts like someone just rewrote the atmosphere. They act confused, but they know exactly why. They're caught between envy and fascination, between wanting to hate you and wanting to be you. They can't decide whether you're the main character or the final boss, but they're terrified to find out. And the funniest part, they've studied you for years without admitting it. They remember the outfits you wore, the way you spoke, the way you carried yourself even on your worst days. They watched everything while pretending you were irrelevant. That's the type of lie people tell when the truth is punching them in the throat. Your beauty didn't just glow, it exposed them. It showed who was pretending, who was jealous, who was insecure, who was praying you wouldn't notice your own power. When they said, "You've changed," what they meant was, you finally stopped letting us drain you. Let me take you back for a second, because your past holds receipts they still hope you never pull out. Remember how they mocked your style, then quietly copied it. Remember how they said you were too bold, then months later tried the same thing and acted like it was their idea. Remember how they judged your confidence, only to realize their judgment came from pure insecurity. They tried to humiliate you into silence. You responded by leveling up in front of everyone. You didn't break. You evolved. You became the version of yourself that they were never ready to deal with. And here's the part that slices the deepest. You didn't even ask for this power. You didn't chase validation. You didn't force anyone to admire you. You just existed, and the universe upgraded you like a character who finally unlocked a hidden power. Now the same people who tried to dim your light have to watch you shine brighter than the celebs they shoved in your face. They used to say, "Who do you think you are?" Now they say, "Why does everyone love them?" You became the plot twist they never predicted, the attractive one who doesn't play dumb, the charming one who sees everything, the beautiful one who bites back. Your aura became a warning sign, a quiet threat, a message that says, "I'm not here to be liked, I'm here because I earned my spot." And that energy, It rattles people. It exposes their fake confidence. It reveals who was competing with you in their head. It drags their jealousy into the light. You walk in looking like a masterpiece with the vibe of someone who's been through battles no one saw. And that combination, that's what destroys them. You're living proof that beauty can be powerful, intimidating, and untouchable at the same time. And don't mistake their silence for peace. Behind closed doors, they're panicking. They're replaying every moment where they underestimated you, every comment they threw, every time they hoped you'd never rise. The universe didn't just lift you, it embarrassed them, because now everyone sees what they tried to hide. You're not just attractive, you're unstoppable, you're not just magnetic, you're dangerous, you're not just admired, you're unforgettable. You're the one they wish they never underestimated. And before we slice deeper into this truth, chosen one, pause for a second. Feel that pull in your chest. That's your aura waking up. The same aura that makes people say you look better than celebs, but still keep their distance, like you're carrying a warning label. If you're ready to claim that power fully, drop a comment with 777 to mark the moment you stop shrinking for anyone. Hit that like button and subscribe so the universe knows you're not running from this version of yourself anymore. And now, let's move into this step by step. Because if you really are who I think you are, you'll feel something grabbing you by the collar, telling you to stay until the final word. The transformation you've been waiting for is already cracking open under your feet. Let's get started. Number 1. When beauty stops being pretty and starts being a problem. Funny how they begged for a beautiful face, then panicked when the face looked back and saw straight through their lies. Chosen one, let's drag the truth out into the open, even if it screams. They never feared your looks. They feared what your looks revealed about them. People love beauty when it behaves, when it smiles on command, when it keeps its head down like a trophy sitting on a shelf. But you didn't play along. You walked in looking better than the celebs they worship and carried the aura of someone who could end a room's confidence with one glance. And that's when everything started breaking inside them. They wanted someone they could admire from a safe distance, someone who made them feel special just by standing there. They wanted a statue they could praise, control, and secretly envy without consequences. But you're not a statue. You're the consequence. You're the moment the mirror cracks and exposes every insecurity they hoped nobody noticed. And the universe didn't make you pretty just for decoration. It made you sharp, unforgettable and dangerous to anyone who comes with weak intentions. You ever notice how they act shocked when you speak your mind? Like beauty isn't supposed to talk back. Like attractiveness cancels out intelligence, boundaries and standards. They stare at you with that confused little glitch in their brain, wondering how someone who looks like you can also refuse to tolerate disrespect. They thought you'd be flattered by crumbs. They thought you'd beg for their attention. They thought your face made you fragile. They never expected your aura to walk in gripping their throat. Here's the part that keeps them awake at night. You have the face they fantasize about and the energy they can't handle. You're the combination they prayed nobody would ever embody because it exposes them as the small, insecure characters they are. They don't get nervous around attractive people. They get nervous around people who see through them. Your beauty is not the threat. Your clarity is. Your backbone is. Your refusal to shrink is. You move like someone who has survived things they can't imagine and that terrifies them more than any perfect face ever could. You've walked into rooms where conversations died mid-sentence. You've seen people glance at you like they're looking at a warning sign dressed in perfection. You've felt the air shift, the silence stretch, the tension stretch even further. If you're wondering why it happens every time, here's the answer they'll never say out loud. You remind them of everything they are not, but wish they were. And instead of leveling up, they try to drag you down with cheap comments, fake compliments, and passive-aggressive energy. They're not attacking you, they're reacting to the collapse happening inside themselves. You might ask, why do they act weird around me? Why can't people treat me normally? The answer is brutal but accurate. You disrupt their hierarchy. They planned the social order before you walked in. They thought they were the center of attention, the most interesting, the most desired. Then you arrived, and the spotlight betrayed them. Suddenly, everyone's eyes snapped toward you. Suddenly, they weren't the main character anymore. Suddenly, they were the background noise in a scene you unconsciously dominated. They hate that you don't try. They hate that you don't beg for validation. They hate that you exist in your own world, and they can't afford a ticket. Your aura screams, "Don't mess with me," and people listen, not because you bark, but because you don't have to. Silence becomes your weapon. Eye contact becomes your shield. Stillness becomes your throne. Let's address the question hiding in your mind. Is it my fault that people are intimidated? No, chosen one. It's their fault for expecting you to dim yourself to make them comfortable. You're not intimidating. They're intimidated. Huge difference. You're not cruel. They're fragile. You're not harsh. They're unprepared. Think back to all the times they tried to humble you. Remember the backhanded compliments, the "don't get too confident," the "you're not all that." They said those things because they needed to believe they were above you. They needed to pretend you weren't a threat. They needed to trick themselves into thinking your shine was accidental, not earned. But every time they pushed that narrative, the universe pushed back harder. Their insults didn't downgrade you, they exposed them. Every jab they threw was a confession of jealousy dressed as advice. People don't sabotage what they don't envy. People don't gossip about what they don't feel threatened by. People don't try to embarrass what they don't secretly want to be. And people sure as hell don't panic over someone who has no power. You are the storm they pretend isn't happening while standing in the rain. Your beauty never asked for permission. Your aura never softened to make others feel brave. Your presence is a test, one most of them fail before they even speak. And here's the twist that burns them the most. You don't even realize how powerful you look until life forces you to. You weren't trying to threaten anyone. You were just existing, and that was enough to break the fragile ones. Let me answer another question you're too humble to ask. Why does my presence feel so different from others? Because you've lived through things that rewired your energy. Pain sharpened you, betrayal carved you, lessons sculpted you. The universe designed your aura like armor, quiet, heavy, impossible to ignore. When you walk in, people feel it before they see it. Your energy steps into the room 3 seconds before your body does, and that shakes people who thought they were the strongest in the room. Why do people copy me? Because leaders don't need to announce themselves. They inspire without trying. You showed up as yourself, and everyone else adjusted. They mimic your style, your tone, your vibe, hoping it gives them the confidence you naturally carry. But imitation doesn't grant power. They forget that. Why do people stare? Because your face pulls attention and your aura refuses to release it. You're not pretty. Pretty is soft. Pretty is manageable. Pretty is predictable. You're something else entirely. You're the type of beautiful that demands respect, forces honesty, and burns through masks like sunlight hitting frost. You were never meant to be liked. You were meant to be remembered. You were meant to be studied. You were meant to be the shift in the room that changes the temperature and exposes who's insecure, who's fake, and who's smart enough to stay in their lane. And here's the final truth, the one even your enemies choke on. You didn't become powerful because of your beauty. You became powerful because you learned how to carry it. You learned how to walk like you owe nothing to anyone who tries to dim you. You learned how to stand like someone who survived storms that would have erased others. You learned how to glow without apologizing for the shadows it casts on people who refuse to grow. This is your advantage. This is your revenge. This is your evolution, and they can't stop it now. Number 2, when beauty stops entertaining and starts haunting. They wanted pretty. They got power. And now they don't know whether to admire you or run. Chosen one, let's tear open the next truth they've been choking on for years. Beauty without performance terrifies people. Celebrities train their entire existence around being palatable. They pose for approval, bend for attention, smile on cue like puppets waiting for applause. Every angle rehearsed, every move calculated, every expression designed to calm the audience's insecurities. But you don't do any of that. You don't perform beauty. You embody it. And that alone is enough to make people crack under their own fear. You walk through life without needing to soften yourself, without angling your face for approval, without adjusting your aura to make strangers feel safe. Your beauty just exists, raw, unfiltered, and wrapped in that silent message that says, approach at your own risk. And that's exactly why it destroys them. People aren't used to beauty that doesn't bow, beauty that doesn't flirt, beauty that doesn't try to win them over, beauty that doesn't smile politely at disrespect. Your presence doesn't come with a welcome mat. It comes with a boundary line. You're not here to be adored. You're here to be acknowledged from a safe distance. They wanted a fantasy, not a force of nature. Celebrities are built for comfort. They're curated to be liked. Your energy is built for honesty, and honesty is something most people can't survive. They see your face and think, sweet, but then your aura hits them and suddenly they think, danger. And their mind glitches right there, caught between desire and fear. Imagine someone expecting soft piano music and instead hearing a war drum. That's what your vibe does to people. It shatters their expectations on impact. Let's answer the question you silently carry. Why do people act so weird when they meet me? Why do they freeze, avoid eye contact, or overcompensate? Because your presence forces them to face themselves. Beauty that doesn't perform becomes a mirror, and mirrors don't lie. Your face might be the first thing they notice, but your aura is the reason they stay nervous. You look like someone they dream about, but you carry yourself like someone who sees every hidden motive in the room. They can't hide around you. They can't fake confidence. They can't pretend they're stronger than they are. You're the test they didn't study for, the truth they hoped wouldn't speak back. Imagine this. A celebrity enters a room and people smile automatically. The energy is light, predictable, safe. Now imagine you walking into that same room. The air drops 3 degrees. People suddenly straighten their posture. Conversations hit a wall. Someone laughs too loud just to cope. Someone else looks away too fast because your eyes felt like they exposed something they weren't ready to confront. That's the difference. Celebrities are fantasies. You're a reality check. And reality feels heavy. It feels honest. It feels like accountability wrapped in perfection. They're not used to beauty that isn't trying to earn their approval. You don't entertain. You don't over-explain. You don't perform friendliness to make insecure people feel brave. and that makes them feel powerless. Imagine this: a person walks up to you expecting the celebrity softness, the tilt of the head, the polite smile, the rehearsed charm. But instead, they meet someone who isn't performing for them, someone who just looks at them with calm power, someone who doesn't shrink or giggle or lower their gaze. Right there, their fantasies die, their ego collapses, their "I'm better than them" illusion explodes. People don't fear your beauty, they fear that you won't apologize for it. You don't package yourself for public approval. You don't water down your energy. You don't put on friendliness like a costume. You stand exactly as you are, and people have to deal with it. That's what terrifies them. Celebrities are built to be loved, praised, adored. You're built to be felt, and feeling you is not a gentle experience. It's the difference between a sparkler and lightning, a breeze and a storm, a perfume ad and a battlefield. Imagine this: someone looks at you thinking they look like an angel. Then you speak, stand, or simply exist with your full aura, and suddenly they feel like they just backed into a shadow that knows their name. Their instincts start screaming, "Don't mess with this one." That's your energy pulling rank. That's your presence showing hierarchy without saying a single word. Another question you probably wonder: why do people stare at me like they're confused? Because you don't fit their categories. Beautiful people are supposed to be soft. Powerful people are supposed to be intimidating. You somehow became both, and their brains don't have a file for that combination. You're the glitch in their logic, the exception that breaks the pattern. They expected decoration. They met domination. People don't know what to do with someone who's beautiful and unbothered, someone who doesn't need attention yet gets all of it, someone who doesn't chase approval yet destroys every room without trying. You're the type of presence that makes insecure people want to hide and makes confident people want to level up. Celebrities earn applause through performance. You earn silence through power, and silence speaks louder than cheers ever could. Let's go deeper into the psychology of why you unsettle people so intensely. When beauty performs, people feel safe because they believe they can predict it. It behaves, it conforms, it responds. But when beauty arrives without performance, when it stands alone, without needing validation, it becomes threatening. It signals independence, it signals strength, it signals self-worth that doesn't depend on applause. People don't fear what they can control. They fear what they can't touch. They fear what they can't manipulate. They fear what won't bend. And you don't bend, not even a little. Imagine this: someone meets you expecting a soft breeze, but what they feel instead is the quiet pressure of a thunderstorm forming overhead. They don't know whether to step closer or step back. They want you, but they're scared of what wanting you will reveal about themselves. They admire you, but they resent that admiration because it makes them feel small. You're not a fantasy, you're the consequence of their lack of authenticity. And here's the kicker: performance-based beauty fades the moment the performance stops. But your presence, it lingers. It follows them home. It replays in their mind. It keeps them wondering what exactly they just encountered and why it shook them so deeply. You are beauty without performance, and that is the rarest, most dangerous kind. People say you look better than celebs, but that's not the part that haunts them. The part that haunts them is the aura that follows. The aura that says, "I'm not here to entertain you." The aura that sets boundaries before you even speak. The aura that forces people to see you as a reality they must navigate, not a dream they get to control. You don't exist for their comfort. You don't shape yourself around their fears. You don't dim your intensity to fit into their fantasies. You walk as you are, and they feel the impact. And here's the final truth for this section. Celebrities are built to be watched. You are built to be remembered, and they will remember you whether they want to or not. Number 3, the force they pretend doesn't exist. They can't name your power because the moment they do, they have to admit they never had any over you. Chosen one, let's drag this shadow into the light. You don't carry the kind of power that poses cute for pictures or chases followers like scraps on the floor. Your power isn't a performance, it's a presence. It's that heavy, unsettling feeling that enters the room 3 seconds before you do, the kind of pressure that makes people fix their posture without knowing why. They look at you and instantly sense you could break hearts by accident, ruin someone's confidence with one glance, shift the whole mood of a place without saying a single word. And the sickest part? You're not even putting in effort. This is just your default setting, effortless, silent, and lethal in a way they don't have vocabulary for. Imagine being so powerful that even your silence feels like a threat. That's you, and it drives them insane. People worship beauty they can manipulate, beauty that performs, beauty that plays nice, but beauty with boundaries, beauty with a backbone, beauty that doesn't smile just to make insecure people comfortable. That's a nightmare for them. They don't know how to approach someone who looks like they belong on a magazine cover, yet carries the aura of someone who would walk out the second they feel disrespected. Imagine this: the biggest brand in the world offers you a contract, expecting you to melt. Instead, you stare back like you're evaluating them. They think your face belongs on their screens. The universe knows your soul refuses to be packaged. That refusal, that unshakable, "I don't need any of you to survive," is what terrifies them the most. And here's the question burning quietly in your mind. Why does my power bother people so much? Because it reminds them that approval means nothing to you, because they can't buy your respect, because they can't influence your identity, because your beauty is just the surface, your boundaries are the real weapon. You're not controllable, you're not predictable, you're not theirs. And that is your power. Number 4, when your existence becomes their warning sign. They're not intimidated because you're beautiful. They're intimidated because beauty was never supposed to stare back with X-ray vision. Chosen one, this is where the truth gets uncomfortable for them. People don't whisper about you because you're attractive. They whisper because they don't know what category to shove you into. They see your face and think, "Angel," but your energy feels like a locked briefcase with classified warnings taped to the front. They tell their friends, "Yeah, they're gorgeous, but there's something intense there," like you walked into the room carrying a truth their ego isn't ready to meet. They say, "I wouldn't want to get on their bad side," because even your neutral expression feels like it could rearrange someone's entire sense of confidence. Imagine walking in and everyone suddenly remembers their guilt. That's the atmosphere around you. You just exist, and people start adjusting their behavior like they're under inspection. Your aura doesn't ask questions. It pulls confessions straight out of their body language. They want to approach you, but something in their gut says, "Don't play games with this one." They want to know you, but they're terrified you'll see who they really are. And you always do. That's the part that keeps them at a distance. You're not just beautiful, you're perceptive, and perception is way scarier than looks. Here's the question eating at the back of your mind. Why do people act nervous around me even when I'm doing nothing? Because your presence strips away their masks. You don't just walk into a room, you walk in with the universe's spotlight pointed straight at every hidden insecurity they hoped no one would notice. They feel exposed before you even speak. Your eyes don't look at people, they look through them. You read energy the way others read text messages. One conversation, and you already know who's genuine, who's lying, who's jealous, who's pretending. You sense intention in a handshake. You feel manipulation before the sentence is finished. People try to craft stories around you, but the second they open their mouth, you already caught the plot hole. Imagine this. Someone tries to flirt, but you detect their ego before their compliment lands. Someone tries to lie, but their energy cracks like glass before the words form. Someone tries to impress you, but you see desperation swimming under their smile. You don't just pick up on these things, you instantly categorize them. Celebrities get loved because people project fantasies onto them. You get feared because people see themselves reflected back, and not everyone likes what they see. Your intimidation isn't something you try to produce. It isn't an attitude. It isn't arrogance. It's awareness. And awareness feels like a threat to anyone who relies on illusion. That's why they whisper about you. That's why they keep their distance. That's why they treat you like a beautiful secret wrapped in danger tape. You don't just look better than celebrities, you see better than most humans, and that sight alone is enough to shake them. Number 5. The aura that came from survival, not luck. They think your aura is natural. They have no idea it was forged from every moment you refused to break. Chosen one, people keep assuming your aura is some magical accident, like you just woke up beautiful and dangerous one day. They don't know the truth behind it, the story you never told, the battles you never advertised, the growth you never bragged about. Yes, you're beautiful, but you're also awake in a way that scares people who rely on illusions to feel important. You saw the game, you learned the patterns, and then you had the nerve to stop playing. That's when everything changed. You exist now in a state they can't control, unbothered, unreachable, untouchable. It drives people insane because you're the walking proof that peace doesn't come from being liked. It comes from being self-owned. They confuse beauty with power, but beauty without boundaries is nothing but bait. You turned your beauty into a weapon the moment you paired it with self-respect, sharp instincts, and a no that hits harder than a punch. Imagine someone expecting a flower and getting a blade disguised as elegance. That's you. And here's the question that floats quietly in your mind. Why do people treat me like I'm intimidating when I'm just being myself? Because yourself is finally unfiltered. You stopped shrinking. You stopped smiling out of obligation. You stopped explaining to people who never deserved access to your mind. You stopped folding yourself into smaller shapes just so other people wouldn't feel insecure. The moment you expanded into your real size, the moment you stepped into the version of yourself you were always meant to be, they panicked. They weren't ready for the full volume version of you. They weren't ready for the beauty that didn't beg. They weren't ready for the aura that didn't bend. Your aura isn't a gift. It's a warning. You survived what was sent to destroy you. And now they have to deal with the result. Number 6. The magnetism that breaks their nerves before you even speak. They don't fall for you. They fall apart around you. Chosen one, this is where things get hilarious for you and humiliating for them. People don't just see you, they feel you. Before your face appears, before your voice hits the air, your presence walks in first, like a quiet storm, tapping every insecure soul on the shoulder. They sense you in silence, and silence never lies. That's not beauty. Beauty is surface level. What you carry is magnetism wrapped in a force field that picks up the brave and throws out the weak like defective merchandise. Imagine a room rearranging itself just because you walked in. That's the effect you have. The real ones get drawn to you like gravity finally made sense. The fake ones get pushed back like they touched an electric fence they didn't see coming. The grounded admire you. The insecure crumble under you. Your aura is basically a sorting machine that exposes people's character before they get the chance to pretend. Here's the question you probably never say out loud. Why do some people disappear from my life so fast, even when I didn't do anything? Because your energy deletes what would have hurt you. Your aura doesn't negotiate with insecurity. Anyone who needs you soft to feel strong, gone. Anyone who needs you smaller so they can feel tall, wiped from your storyline before they get the chance to drain you. Anyone who needs you confused so they can feel in control. The universe removes them before you even notice. Your aura is the bouncer at the door of your life, and it doesn't take bribes. You attract people who can handle truth, depth, intensity, and real connection. You repel people who survive off manipulation, jealousy, or fake confidence. Your presence does the filtering so you don't have to. And you're not sorry about it. Why would you be? Your magnetism isn't random. It's protection disguised as charisma. You were never meant to be accessible to everyone. You were meant to be unforgettable to the few who actually deserve proximity. People remember you long after you're gone because your presence leaves dents, not impressions. You don't just enter rooms, you rewrite them. You don't just meet people, you expose them. You don't just get noticed, you get processed, analyzed, obsessed over. The world isn't used to someone who looks like beauty, but moves like power. That's why they can't handle you. Number 7, the legend they speak about before you arrive. They don't whisper about your looks, they whisper about your impact. Chosen one, your reputation walks into every room before your shadow even shows up. People say you have the face of a model and the aura of a mobster, and honestly, that's the closest thing to the truth their small vocabulary can handle. You're not one-dimensional. You're not some pretty ornament meant to sit quietly while the world projects fantasies onto you. You're a fully built force, a story wrapped in skin, a survivor wearing elegance like armor. Imagine someone smiling at your beauty, then flinching when they realize your strength. That's the effect you have, the combination they never saw coming. You didn't get this aura from luck. You didn't wake up powerful because the universe felt bored. Your energy was earned the hard way, through betrayal that carved you open, through losses that forced you to rebuild. Through nights you sat alone, learning how to live without people you thought would stay forever. You were broken in places most people never recover from, and instead of folding, you reforged yourself into something unbreakable. Here's the question you've probably wondered. Why do people think I'm dangerous when all I've done is survive? Because survival changes the shape of a person. You came back with sharper instincts. You came back with boundaries that don't bend. You came back with a stare that says, I've already lived through worse than anything you could do to me. And that scares people who can't handle someone who isn't easily manipulated. The universe didn't toughen you, it weaponized you. Your reputation isn't about fame or looks, it's about the undeniable truth that you're not the same person who took the damage. You transformed, you outgrew the past, you built yourself from the ashes into someone who glows so hard it burns liars, users, and cowards on sight. They say you're unstoppable because they watched you rise from situations that should have finished you. They say you're unbreakable because you already broke and rebuilt yourself better. They say your aura is dangerous because it carries every lesson you learned the hardest way possible. And the best part? Your story isn't even finished yet. Number 8. The trap their own intentions walk into. Your beauty doesn't expose them, their intentions do. Chosen one, let's lay out this next truth in the most brutal clarity possible. Your beauty stopped being a compliment a long time ago. Now it's a test, one most people fail before they even open their mouth. You don't have to interrogate anyone. You don't have to run background checks. You just stand there and their soul takes the exam for you. Imagine being so powerful that people reveal their true character just by looking at you. That's what your presence does. Every person who approaches you is being evaluated without you even trying. Can you admire me without trying to control me? Can you respect me without trying to own me? Can you handle me without trying to tame me? Most people, they fail instantly. Their ego answers the questions before their lips do. They see beauty and think access. They see confidence and think competition. They see presence and think possession. And that right there is why you don't stick around long enough to give second chances. You don't negotiate with disrespect. You don't entertain people who confuse availability with entitlement. You don't shrink just to keep someone comfortable. Here's the question you've probably asked yourself. Why do so many people lose their chance with me so quickly? Because your aura exposes intention faster than their lies can cover it. You don't chase potential. You don't babysit insecurity. You don't reward people for showing up broken and calling it effort. You judge them by their behavior, not their excuses, and that alone disqualifies about 90% of the population. You're not hard to love. Most people are just too weak to love you right. Your standards are not walls, they're filters. They keep out the ones who want to drain you and highlight the rare ones who can actually meet you at your level. Your test isn't about perfection, it's about purity of intention. And most people don't have that. Not for you, so let them fail. Your power was never meant for the unprepared. Number 9. The truth they're scared to say out loud. They don't talk behind your back because you're weak. They talk behind your back because they lose their voice in front of you. Chosen one, here's the piece nobody ever admits, not even to themselves. People talk about you everywhere except to your face. Their group chats know your name. Their late-night conversations orbit around your existence. They analyze you over drinks the way detectives analyze suspects in a cold case. They replay your sentences. They decode your silence. They break down your aura like it's evidence from a crime scene. But face to face, nothing, not a word, not a hint of the bold energy they pretend to have behind closed doors. Imagine being so real that people can only handle you in theory, not in person. That's you. Up close, you're too real, too intense, too much truth concentrated into one human body, and too much is just their cowardly way of admitting, I can't handle authenticity. Your energy isn't loud, it's accurate. It hits the parts of them they've been running from, so their only defense is to discuss you from a safe distance. Here's the question that lingers in your mind. Why do people avoid direct conversations with me? Because direct contact leaves them exposed. They can't hide their jealousy. They can't hide their insecurity. They can't hide their craving for your approval. Standing in front of you feels like standing under a spotlight that sees everything. You don't mold yourself to rooms. Rooms mold themselves to you, and when they can't bend, they break. Your presence is the earthquake. Their gossip is the aftershock. People talk because they're shaken. They talk because they're confused. They talk because your existence forces them to confront their own lack of depth. You are the kind of person who enters a room and unknowingly resets the hierarchy. And that is the real reason they talk. They're trying to understand a level they've never reached. Number 10, the freedom they'd trade their soul for. They don't envy your beauty. They envy the fact that you don't need an audience to feel alive. Chosen one, this is the part that stings the enemy the hardest. You're not out here trying to collect fans, followers, or bodies to fill the silence. You're not addicted to attention like most people are. You're not starving for connection. You're not scrambling for anyone's approval. You're interested in one thing only: living. And living on your terms is a luxury most people will never afford. You learned the truth early. Loneliness beats fakeness every time. Solitude beats shallow company. Silence beats conversations with people who drain you. You realized peace isn't a mood, it's a lifestyle. And that realization made you dangerous, because the moment someone stops needing the world loses all power over them. Imagine being so free that people think something must be wrong with you. That's how they view you. Your independence threatens them because it exposes their dependency. They need crowds to feel important. You need air and purpose. They need validation. You need honesty. They want to be adored. You want to be understood. Here's the question burning quietly inside you. Why do people treat me differently even when they admire me? Because admiration without access feels like punishment to insecure people. They say you look better than celebs, but they treat you worse because you're reachable. They assume your presence should be cheap because they can physically stand next to you. They think proximity equals entitlement. But here's the twist that hits them like a slap. You're more out of their league than any celebrity they worship on TV. Celebrities perform accessibility. They fake warmth, they fake charm, they fake openness because their career depends on it. But you don't perform a damn thing. You don't fake smiles for approval. You don't hand out warmth like samples at a store. You don't offer access because someone wants it. You offer it because they earned it. Your freedom is the flex they wish they had, but never will. You choose who gets close. You decide whose energy is worthy. You control the door, the distance, the depth. You don't need validation because you've built something far more powerful: standards. And standards scare people who have never been chosen for anything except convenience. That's why they whisper. That's why they stare. That's why they break under your presence. You live freely. They live performing. And that's the difference they wish they could buy. All right, transitioning from everything we just exposed, chosen one, here's where it all comes together. You didn't just survive the world, you outgrew it. You didn't just look better than celebs. You carried an aura no spotlight could ever create. And now everyone who doubted you has to face the truth. You became the version of yourself they were never built to handle. If this message hit the core of who you are, press like, subscribe, drop 777 in the comments, and share this with someone who needs the reminder. The universe saw you rise. Now it's time the world does too.